Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to have a quick conversation about this decor item that I think can instantly elevate a space. I also think it's one of those decor items where a lot of people have questions about, especially first time homeowners or people who are moving into their own space for the first time. And this is a thing that they feel like they're going to have to do. I've found that a lot of people are not as confident when it comes to them, but they honestly, I feel, can make or break a space in regards to making a space feel like it is complete, adding a little bit more style and flair. And then in some cases, I do think that they offer this benefit that could be considered a good thing for a person's health. So today, what I want to chat a little bit about with you is curtains. I'm going to try to answer a couple of questions about the curtains, and this is based off of questions that I've heard over the years, questions that have been directed to me over the years, and then it's also going to be subjective, so it will be based on my thoughts in regards to my experience personally when adding these to any of my rooms. So I want to first start with the question of how high should you hang your curtains? When I first got started, when I had my first place, I definitely did not do this. But I can tell you that after some years had passed and I started doing this, it has made such a difference in my rooms. I cannot see myself not doing it moving forward. And that would be to hang them as close to the ceiling as possible. Now, I like to hang mine about an inch to an inch and a half below the ceiling. That way, if I have a little bit of gathering above that top pocket on the curtain panel, I won't have to worry about it bunching up on top of the ceiling. So, about an inch to an inch and a half. And I love what it does for the space. It elongates the room and makes it feel a little bit taller than it actually is. When it comes to the style of the curtains, I'm a huge fan of the velvet style curtains. And so in a lot of my rooms, I've been bringing those in, and I just love what they've done. And this is excluding the areas where I have sheer curtains. I think some rooms benefit more from the sheer curtains, and then some rooms benefit more from the velvet curtains. And then also, when we're talking about how high we should hang our curtains, like for instance, in this area, there are one, two, three, four, a glass door area that we have the curtains hanging over, and then also a kitchen window. I didn't add curtains to that kitchen window yet, and I don't know that I will because I like the idea of having that more so open. But for the rest of this space, I have all of the curtains hanging at the same height, and then I went with the same style curtain from one end to the other. And I chose to do that because one thing that I've learned throughout the years is when you have something consistent, it makes the space feel more open, not just more cohesive, but it makes it feel a little bit more open. Now, does it make it feel cohesive? Absolutely. But you can make a space feel cohesive even if you had different style curtains in those spaces. For me, I like my eye to travel, and I like it to travel and see the consistency in whether it's the contrast, whether it's the color, whether it's the texture or the material. I like to see the consistency in it because for me, it definitely makes the area expand, and I love that. So I like to keep my curtains the same all the way throughout, but that's not something that you have to do. You can switch it up, and as long as you have curtain colors and textures that complement one another, it's fine as well. When it comes back to the height, how high you're going to hang your curtains, you definitely want to make sure that you're hanging them all at the same um, level from the ceiling, because that does play a major part in whether they look consistent and whether they're playing nicely with one another throughout the space. One of the most important things I think when you walk into a space is, how does it make your eyes travel? Does it seem like they're just darting all over the place? Does things feel disjointed or disconnected? Or do they feel like they just flow? They flow, and you can look through the space without it feeling fussy, without it feeling cluttered. I think that's one of the most important things to do. And so, even if I'm going to go with different accent pieces throughout my room, I think one of the great ways that you can make the space consistent is by going with the same color curtains and the same color texture, but it's not something that you have to do. All right, so moving into the next question that I've heard from people is, should the curtains touch the floor? This is I think, a major one. This is definitely second to how high should the curtains be hung. My experience and my thoughts on should they touch the floor, honestly, some of you may feel like this doesn't help, but to each their own. It's definitely one of those things, what you want from the space, what it makes you feel like, and just what you like. When you look at it, how does it make you feel? Now, I can say that because I have curtains that gather in a puddle on the floor. I have curtains that just do kiss the floor. And then I have curtains that are a little bit above touching the floor. And I can tell you right now, the ones that I do like the most are the ones that kiss the floor. I don't like the ones that puddle on the floor as much. And I'll tell you why. The reason being is because when they puddle on the floor, to me, I think they shrink the height of the room. And I think they make the room feel a little more full. And I'm going to use the word cozier. And some people want cozy for their spaces. For the areas that I don't want to feel that cozy, I'd rather not have them pooling on the floor. The most recent room that I did for my last video, you can see that the curtains in that room actually puddle. They gather in a puddle on the floor. And while I'm not the craziest about them gathering in a puddle on the floor, um, it's not one of those things where I feel like I just can't deal with it. So I'm okay with them gathering on the floor. But my favorite would be them kissing the floor. So my curtains that I have in this space, they do kiss the floor in that area. And I also have them hanging about an inch to an inch and a half off of the ceiling. These curtains here, they are on a rod that was installed by a professional company because it's a oh gosh, what's the word? It is a more detailed curtain rod where they're all connected and you can open and close them with the drawstring. Um, so these, I think, were done by Hunter and Douglas, I believe. I think that's the name of the company, but it was done before we moved here. So I'm going to assume this was done almost 20 years ago when they first got the house. So I did not mess with this rod, but I did have intentions to maybe in the future change it up. But for the moment, they're still there and they're hanging just a little bit further than 1 to 1.5 inch. I think these may hang about 2 inches from the ceiling. And so they pull just a little bit more on the floor than those over there do, but it's such a small difference in the measurement that it doesn't even make a huge difference. But I will say, if I had my choice, I would hang them an inch to an inch and a half from the ceiling, and then I would get the length of the curtains um, in comparison to the height of the ceiling and allow them to just do kiss the floor. We're going to take a look at the curtains that I have in the room that I just recently put together. Those pull heavily on the floor. And I think because the room now, it has such a bright look to it, where I've been able to give the illusion that the room is a little bit taller and the walls are not dark anymore, I'm even more okay with them coming together as a puddle on the floor. I think if you're going for a space like a theater room or a room that you are just wanting to have this really relaxing, cozy vibe to, I think that would actually be a nice length to allow the curtains to hang. But I don't really have a space in my house where I want it to feel that cozy. So I like to keep most of mine where they are kissing the floor. They allow the room to feel longer and taller. Um, they do give that illusion, and I love that. Now, so the next thing is curtain rods. People have a hard time choosing curtain rods. And I know because I've talked to people before. And back in the day when I first started putting together my spaces, I also had a hard time choosing curtain rods. The thing that I did, I put a different curtain rod everywhere. So this place would have a different curtain rod. This room would, that room would, the kitchen would, the dining room, the living room, anywhere that I put curtains, I had different rods because I'm like, oh my gosh, this rod right here. Ooh, it's so stylish. It looks so good. And then I just had all these mixed, matched rods. And I was wondering, why does it feel so disjointed if I'm going from room to room where the rooms were like right next to one another, or you could see one room from the other room? It felt a little bit disjointed. And now, fast forward to today, I understand why things felt disjointed. It definitely wasn't something that I would have thought about. But when I learned better, now I know better. So they say, when you know better, you do better. Now, based on my experience with rods, now in all of my areas throughout my house, now you can choose an area. You can say from my living room and dining room, I'm going to be consistent with my rods. Or you can still choose to do different rods. Again, all of this is subjective and it's going to be what you feel comfortable with and what you like. But I'm sharing my experience with you because over the years, these are things that I have come to love. And what I feel when I'm looking from space to space, having the same curtain rods allows my space to feel so connected from room to room. And I love that so much. There's probably two rooms throughout this whole house that I have some different curtain rods. And that would be these because they were professionally added by a professional company some years ago. And I just haven't got around to switching this out because I actually like the fact that I have this pull on here. And for this full glass door, I can just pull the drawstring and open these curtains all the way up or close them. And then the other would be in another guest bedroom. I did that room not too long after we got here, and I bought some rods. I don't know if I switched them out yet. We'll see. I'll have to go and check and see. And then I'll just throw it in here. But I don't think I switched them out. And I had a different rod there. But everything else, I decided to keep it consistent. Not only, I think, was it easy on the pockets, I'm going to say easier on the pockets because they're not expensive, but they give this very classic look. It's like a modern look, but it's still, depending on what you pair it with, can look very streamlined and I think gorgeous. So these particular rods that I use, you can get them in gold, I believe brass, white, black. And I decided to be consistent throughout my space and use the same rod with the little cap on the end and go black all throughout my space. I think it easily allows me to add different type of curtains if I wanted to, but there's still this level of consistency because they're all the same rod and they're all the same color. These are little things that you can keep consistent throughout all of your spaces, and it does not compromise you being able to be super creative with the accessories that you bring into the space. So they bring that consistent side and the accessories bring that more original look to the space. And I love that. Should you have the same curtain rods throughout? It's up to you. But based on my experience, I absolutely love the idea. Number one, like I said, it provides this level of consistency, even though you're going to be very original with other pieces in the room. And number two, I don't have to rack my brain on what style I should get for this particular room because I already know I'm going to get that rod. And I love that. So it makes that part of the selection process very, very easy. All right, now here's another big question. We talked about how to make the room look higher, how to make the ceiling feel a little bit taller and things look a little bit larger when it comes to the height and length of the curtains, but we didn't talk about width of the curtains. So in the width, I like to take my rods and put the brackets about 3 inches past the window. I know some people may go a little bit further, but if you put your brackets a little bit past the window and you allow the rods to expand past the window, this is a great way to make the space feel larger. So not only are you hanging them close to the ceiling, but you're also expanding them past the window. So if you don't have a really large window, for me, we have these two windows are pretty large in this room, but I still like the idea of expanding the curtain rod past the window on both sides. So it makes it look a little bit wider, and then it also makes the room look a little bit taller. I think those are two very key things that people should pay attention to when they're hanging their curtains. Who would have thought that all of these things, all of these factors would definitely play into what a room feels like, and that curtains could play such a major role in the feel of a room, but I'm telling you, they truly do. And again, like I said, I've had questions from people before regarding curtains, and I remember when I started out and I was getting ready to put up my first set of curtains. Number one, I thought it was a super hard thing to do, and I was like, I need somebody to hang these for me. Okay, so it's a very, very, very easy thing to do. You get out your measuring tape and you go and you measure from the ceiling down to where you want that bracket or rod to be, an inch to an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. It really is up to you. And you mark it, and then you put your brackets, you get you a power drill, and you screw your brackets into the wall. I thought it was super hard, but after I did my first one or two windows, I got pretty comfortable with it, and boom, it was up from there. So if you guys have any questions, you want me to dive a little bit more into the texture of the curtains and maybe show a little bit more, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to get in the comments, ask me, and I'll try to answer them the best that I can. I think that is the bulk of what I wanted to kind of touch on today. Just a quick video, because I do think that it is a huge part of styling a space. And then when you're talking about health wise, being able to get a good night rest, having blackout curtains, these are velvet and they're blackout, and they're like perfect for darkening up your space and feeling cozy and being able to get a good night's sleep, which of course yields other great benefits for the body. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you know someone who might be interested in this particular video, feel free to share it so others may find me here in the community. I appreciate you guys for watching. Bye now.